I think we have ourselves a figure of the year contender right here. This thing is incredible. Perfect Link figure? I don't know, perfect figure. Let's open it up, check it out, and of course do some toy photography. So, Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom. I think most people would probably agree that this is one of the best video games in a very long time. I definitely loved it a lot, and I'm not even a huge Zelda guy, and I absolutely love this game. And if you're watching this video, we probably have a lot in common. You and I, we probably have a lot in common. And for me, whenever I really love something and I love a character, I'm like, okay, now I want it in an action figure form. And so now, like, I don't know, 2 years later, we have that right here from Figma, from Good Smile Company. And I'm pretty excited. When this figure went on to pre-order, I was like, finally. It's weird because Zelda and Link in general, one of the biggest video game properties ever, and we don't really have that many Link figures. We don't have that many really good ones. I've got one of them, it's okay, but this seems like it's gonna be the Link figure to own, like the one to own. And I feel like all of the tears from deep inside of my kingdom are gonna be shed all over this thing as I open it up. And I can't wait. So yeah, I pre-ordered this thing a while ago. I actually pre-ordered it from AmiAmi. I'm gonna have as many links in the video description as I can if you wanna pick this guy up. I pre-ordered him for like 16,000 yen, which roughly is like 112 bucks or something. And I got, you know, the super special mega Hylian edition, which has a whole lot more accessories, like a bunch of stuff. Like, look at all that stuff. That's a lot of stuff. I'll have as many links in the description, like I said, if you want to pick this guy up. Hopefully he's still at a retail price somewhere, but if you can't find him, as I always recommend, if you miss stuff, head to the Whatnot app. It's just like eBay, but it's just about collectibles, stuff like that. So I'll have my Whatnot link in the description that will save you $15 on your first purchase if you decide to use it. And it's a good app, I definitely recommend. So head to Whatnot, and I'll have as many links as I can find for this guy. Hopefully he's still at a reasonable price. So I don't buy Figma that often. Man, this looks good. I don't buy from Figma all that often because sometimes I have problems with them. I've had a few figures where I don't really love them. They're not the best, they're not terrible, but sometimes just like not really worth what I think I'm paying for it. And it's only if like they're the only people doing it. If Figuarts is making a version, I usually will go with them instead of Figma. So hopefully this one will be, you know, one of the better ones. I did see it in person at New York Comic Con and I was quite excited because it looked pretty great. So very excited. This figure, man, this figure is like an absolute work of art. It's like a masterpiece. It's incredibly beautiful. And it's got this really amazing velvety satin kind of feeling to it. Kind of like that one Mafex Deadpool I opened up and I couldn't get over how great it felt. Venom. Come on, man. Stop it. It feels incredible and it looks incredible. Like there's so much detail and everywhere. Like the little chainmail underneath his shirt. What's the name of this outfit? It's like the Hylian shirt or swordsman shirt or tunic or something. The detail on that with the chainmail underneath, and it all just looks flawless. Absolutely flawless. And it's got that new figure smell. It smells really good. Venom. Dude, I'm trying so hard right now. This is gonna be a contender for my 2025 figure of the year, probably. I mean, as long as everything works the way it's supposed to, I think it really is going to be, like this figure is no joke. And the quiver with the arrows on his back, like this is really a, dude, come on. I'm just trying to film a stinking video. But the detail is really ridiculous. And even on his face, I mean, it's a pretty simple kind of sculpt as far as, you know, not as much as like a celebrity's sculpt, whatever. But it's beautiful. Like, I'm so happy to have this figure. Like, it's wild. Before I check out his articulation, I do want to switch a couple things on him, just because I think it's going to feel a little more complete. We're going to pop the hood. Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna pop his head off and put on his Hylian hood. Ooh, there's a little apparatus on here that you can pop. Well, that's amazing. And I'm gonna change his arm to the King Haru's arm, because that just feels more like the Link from this game that I know. Pop that right off, and then this should go just like that. Switch that, and being able to switch stuff like that, being easy, makes me very happy. Okay, now let's get into it. So putting the hood on does add a little bit of extra, you know, kind of almost like a restriction around his neck. But even with that, you can move his head around great. Like, goes down, nice downward, and his ponytail does too. You can move his ponytail up so he can still look upwards. That is so fantastic. It honestly doesn't seem like it really affects it at all. He's got butterfly joints, so you can see that right there. That moves right there, so you can get tons of reach going around like that. Crunch, nothing crazy as far as crunch, I suppose, but that's fine. Got double jointed knees. You do have this little flap that kind of gets in the way of some moving around the knees, but you can kind of get around them, or sorry, moving around the legs in general. Kind of get around that. Elbows, great, way more than a 90-degree, way more, especially on the dead arm, the Haru, King Haru arm. Even with this shoulder pad back here, you can still push those shoulders all the way back. Articulation's awesome. That's not something I was really worried about with this figure, but it's great. But this is just a really quick pose, but just, you know, I could probably make it much better switching hands and faces, but being able to move the arms over this close enough to kind of get that kind of crunched up shoulder arm movement and everything, and you can move the head up and around to go with it. It's really quite great. Like, I'm very impressed with this thing. So to start with some of the more mundane accessories and none of the crazy ones, we've got some normal stuff too. Like, we've got some hands, open hands, holding hands, pointer holding hands for both his King Haru hand and his normal hand. So that's pretty cool. And it seems like because of those lesser amount of hands, all of the accessories will probably work with these hands, which is kind of cool. I like how they'll be very universal. And he comes with two other faces. So the face he's got on there is just kind of like stoic. Still slightly happier though, but this one is definitely a happier face, which is nice. And then this is more like a hip, hop, hut face, which is great. Very important, you know. Got this shield too, which is a traveler's shield, if I remember correctly. But you might ask yourself, well, why do I want this stupid shield if I've got the classic Hylian shield, right? That's what it's called. Why would I want this when I get this? Well, this has a more specific purpose. So if you pop this little middle thingy out, I'm gonna use this little pen cap. There we go. Pop this out, and then you get this Zonai rocket. Put this in here and fuse it together. Bling! And then now you've got a rocket to get up to higher places when, you know, you need to. This comes with an incredible thing of directions with everything on here. So I'm not gonna go over the whole directions because that's probably kind of boring. The destructions, but very helpful for how all this stuff works. So look at this before you change stuff. That's what I'm doing right now. Boom! Check it out. This looks awesome. Does this not look awesome? Like, look how freaking cool this looks, and it's everything functions exactly the way it's supposed to. Like, I'm not having any problems right now. Like, I switched the face. Putting the hand on was a little bit tricky, but the directions made it very helpful. You take out the handle, and then you put the hand on the handle, and then put the whole apparatus back onto the arm as is, and that makes things way easier. And I put the little rocket booster in the rocket, and then look at him go. And it looks great. I'm so happy. And of course I used the stand. Figma stands they always come with just a little peg, so they don't have like a clip or anything, which honestly looks better. You know, if I'm gonna do this in a toy photo, I don't have to edit out anything gripping around their waist. And it all just looks good. Like, come on, like, how beautiful is that? Then next we've got the rock hammer, I think it's called, boulder hammer, whatever, which is a stick fused with a rock. Obviously, if you've played the game, that's cool. Which is funny because I did a photo when this game came out of Link fusing his sword with a strawberry, if anyone remembers that. So now you can actually do it with this. And it's pretty cool, it looks great. And it's kind of heavy. Well, it feels like they certainly tried to make this light, but it almost feels like it might be too heavy, but I don't know, we'll see. Okay, I think I have stumbled across my first issue, and I was right, it's too heavy. So if you try to have him hold it, like, okay, wow, okay, that is working right now. But look, there you go. It's just really heavy. You gotta try to balance it. And if you were to do like a pose where he's swinging down at the ground, which is actually the same pose that's on the box, you know, then you're good because you have swung at the ground. This pose is great because you kind of have to do this pose, and that's the way it is. So I guess be careful with this. It's a little too heavy for the joints to be able to handle. The next accessory is the bow, and this is the ancient bow and the arrow. You know, a lot of times with doing things with action figures that have bow and arrow, it's kind of hard to make it not awkward, or it's hard to just make it look cool, but they really make it so easy. Putting the arrow in this hand is perfect. This hand is specifically for holding an arrow, and this hand is specifically for holding the bow. I'm telling you, look at those dang directions, please, before you use this figure. It'll make your life a whole lot easier, and it all works so well. The accessories themselves are really beautiful accessories. I'm sure it'd be real easy to just do this really quick. Look at that, so easy. This thing is a work of art. There's so much time and thought and work went into every single detail and, you know, functionality with this figure. It's really very well done. So next Link has this little ascend bubble thing. So if you're using ascend to go from a cave to a top of a building, you should be able to just pop his waist in half, just like that. This should be able to just, and there we go. And now he's doing ascend from a thing. Look at that. Haha. Oh, Jesus! Okay, Link only lost 1 heart, but he's good. He's totally good. But this is kind of fun. Dun, dun, na, 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 na. Dun, na, 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 na. Dun, na, 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 na. So, yeah, of course, we've got these absolutely iconic video game weapons with the Hylian shield, the Master Sword with the beautiful... One day I will not do that. Beautiful sheath that it's in and everything. So the sheath should be able to go right on his back. There you go. You can still have them both. Awesome. I was really afraid you weren't gonna be able to have them both, but the apparatus to put the hood on also has another little hole in there, so you can just put it right in. They really thought of everything. And there goes that. And here he is. Look at this beautiful man. Shielded up, sworded up. And remember, read the directions, like, because pretty much every single item you have to put on him, you have to take the bottom part off in order for it to fit on his hand. Just about every weapon, shield or whatever. Also, if you take his hood off and then you put this little clear thingy in the shield like that, you can put the sword, the sheath, on his back, and then put this on the sheath and have both the sword and sheath on the back of his back. Freaking sweet. I think actually you would be able to put them both on. I guess there's nothing really stopping you to have all of these on at once, really, but it'd be a little much. It'd be a little complicated. And last but not least, we've got the Paraglider. It's beautiful. It's amazing. And the Paraglider actually has the hands permanently attached to the handles, but it has these little streamers too to put on the back, which I'm gonna try and put those on right now, which they're kind of ball jointed, so they would technically be articulated. And there it goes. It was actually a little bit more difficult to get those streamers in there like that. So I did end up popping it off and putting it back in, but man, it looks so cool. Doesn't that look so cool? It looks great. I'm very, very happy with that. Looks really cool. I almost wish this stand was a little higher, kind of like the Mezco one, so he could just be more in the air, you know? This accessory alone is very high quality. All the paint and everything is beautiful. It's really nice. It's really, really nice. By the way, if stands like this ever start to get a little too like weak to hold them up, they pretty much all are based off of, they all have screws right here. So you can just tighten it up with a screwdriver. So if you're ever pissed off at a stand, you usually can just tighten it up. All right, well, Link he's just about exactly 6 inches, I would say. Pretty good, maybe a little bit smaller, which is, I think, a great size. 6 inch, perfect. So here he is to the other Figma Link that I've got, and he's definitely bigger. I mean, I don't know if he's supposed to be younger in this game, but he's definitely scaled up. When I first saw this figure, I was expecting it to be more this size. Whoa. I was expecting it to be more this. I was expecting it to be more this size, and he's bigger, and I like that a lot. I think this is a much better scale. I'm trying to think, so here's the Figuarts Mario. I don't think those scale at all. You know, if you want to do Super Smash, you could do something. Mario should be bigger, I think. And same with, this is the Nendoroid Sonic. Yeah, they don't scale at all with him. That's fine, but very interesting. So if you wanted to scale him up with probably my next favorite Figma figure, they don't scale at all. Doom guy should probably be way taller, but that's okay. I honestly would be amazed if you did something with these two together. Link is a better figure than this Doom Slayer. As much as I love my Doom and I love this figure is definitely this figure's the best Figma figure ever that I know of. I don't have a whole lot of them, but this figure's incredible. This one needs some work. I want 1,000 toys to make a Doom figure. So if you've got any of the Figma horses, they've done a couple of them. They should be absolutely perfect, I would say. Well, this figure's definitely not designed to sit on a horse. You have to really kind of mess with it. Looks a little awkward right now, but it works. You can definitely get it to work, that's for sure. I feel like you could do something great with these. Yeah, his little tunic, little flap kind of gets in the way when you're putting it on, but it kind of works. All right, what are we giving this guy, a W or an L? By the way, he's totally in this stand, balanced right now, in this pose. Like, this is one of the poses on the box, and it's achievable. Tell me this figure's a W without telling me this figure's a W. Okay, here you go. Yeah, it's a W. The only issue that I had was that rock was too heavy for his hand, which is not a big deal. That's honestly probably one of the accessories I would use the least. There's so much thought put into this, so much love put into this figure, and everything about it works so well and functions so well, and it looks so beautiful, and it poses so nicely, and it's such quality, and it's posable, and it's one of the coolest figures I've seen in a while. This is definitely, if this figure's not in my top 5 for 2025 at the end of the year, there's gonna have to be some pretty crazy figures that come out. Huge W, one of the biggest W's in the history of W's. All right, well, it's a shooting and reviewing video, so we have to take a picture of this guy, and I have a very cold photo in mind with him, which is actually gonna be a part of this month's challenge on the YouTube channel. If you ever take place in those challenges, this one's gonna be all about cold. The theme is cold. So if you're interested, go to Instagram, although the info will be there. It's all linked in the description at Sirdork. It's all gonna be there. Find this photo of Link, and all the rules are there. So let's go take that cold photo, and it'll be great. All right, here we go. Check it out. So we've got Link over here, and this is gonna be a little interesting. Link is touching the nose of a really big moose. Well, he will be really big. Right now, he's very small. So I really wanted to have, you know, there's like that one stable in the north, and there's like moose around. You can chop them up and get good meat from them. That's where we are right now. I'm going to do a little bit of editing to make this work. So this is the only moose I could find that worked for the photo. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have to blow it up in Photoshop and make it a lot bigger. I could do a forced perspective, but I don't know. I feel like that'll throw off the aperture and everything if I tried to pull that off. I'm pretty much just gonna take the shot and then just make him bigger in Photoshop, and hopefully it'll work out pretty nicely. I've got some really warm light around them, and I've got this really long forest of trees behind them. These are all little mini trees I found at Michael's. I used them for my Christmas tree Superman shot, if you remember that. But if you look in camera, the trees actually look pretty good. I'm pretty happy with how they came out. If I had more of them, it would work great. But if you look in the back, you know, there's plenty of light on the characters, but none in the background. So it doesn't really work out like with the light looking very natural. So I'm gonna do a little bit more editing, take this light, and then take a bunch of photos with the light all the way up there across, and hopefully it'll make it look like a more cohesive looking end of the day or something.
My camera settings right now are at 500 for my shutter speed. It's working with the light, so it doesn't really need to be much faster than that. At 3.2 for my aperture, which is a little bit higher than normal, but I would like to have the entire moose in focus, so that's gonna work out. And my ISO is at 400, as it always is. So I'm gonna use my remote, take some shots, and I'll go over my editing process afterwards. Let's go. So here we go, post photo breakdown, and I did a lot more editing than I really do normally. So this is the final product, and it looks pretty good. I'm not quite as happy as I would like. So I mean, if I just had a big moose and I went out somewhere like with a cool background with nice weather, I feel like it would have been great. But I think what I figured out ended up still working though. So the moose looking big works. It works pretty well, and Link looks okay. I'm a little disappointed with this cape here. I wish I didn't have the cape, because the cape totally ruins the silhouette for Link, unfortunately. But the background ended up looking pretty cool. The lighting over on the left-hand side does look like a sunrise or a sunset or something, which is cool. That all ended up working out pretty well. Other than that, it looks pretty good. I did use the generative fill to get this mountain in the top, just because I got rid of the fence, so it worked out pretty well for that. And so I ended up doing a second option because I thought this was a little bit more interesting, because I got a little bit more rim lighting on Link, and it popped more with a darker background. And I think I like this version better. It's pretty cool. I think I like this one. Still unhappy with the cape. This is actually the original shot. So, you know, making the moose bigger was great. I actually made the photo smaller and then kept the moose the same size, so he didn't, you know, be pixelated or anything. And all of the trees in the background really worked perfectly, and all fit just fine. There's like no trees over here though, but that's fine. I know this is way more editing than I normally will do. Give me the critiques. Do you hate how much editing? Too much Photoshop? Whatever. Let me know. I'd love to hear what you think. I will be very surprised if there are some figures that come out later in 2025 that are better than this, that beat this in being the top figure of the year for me. It's just an incredible figure. I'm really curious to hear what you think though. Are you also feeling that way, or maybe not, or maybe you don't care? Either way, I'd love to know what you think. If you did enjoy the video though, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. Of course, this photo will be posted up onto Instagram, to TikTok, Twitter. If you want to follow all of my work or any of my work on those platforms, it's all linked in the video description. And as always, thank you so much for watching, getting this far into the video at all, and I hope to see you in the next one.